Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you really want to live in the body and mind you really want to be living in. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of food and body freedom, as well as find more meaning and more moments of joy in life, you are in the right place. Hey everyone, thank you for being here and tuning in to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real. This is where we're going to talk about things like aging strong, training smart, and living well into every decade of life. And in today's episode, I'm going to dig into something that a lot of women and men, really it's a lot of people in general, as we're aging, are not paying enough attention to in their training. And that is fast twitch muscle fibers and explosive movement. So as we age, we really tend to shift towards safer, more controlled workouts. So what I see happening as my peers around me are getting older, like me, and my clients who I'm working with are typically, in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. They might still be moving, which is awesome, but they really move into more steady state cardio or using really light weights, long walks. By the way, all great things. But if we stop training explosively, we're really missing out on one of the most powerful tools we have to maintain athletic performance, strength, power, and even to prevent injury and falls as we get older. I call it explosive training, explosive movement training is really, really, really important especially for those of us who are heavily involved in maybe a sport or our hobbies include things that are very active and we have performance-based goals in those things. We really need to be training these fast twitch muscle fibers because that is what we start to lose very, very quickly as we age. So we're going to dive deep into the two main types of muscle fibers and how they function. We're going to talk about what happens to fast twitch muscles as we age. We're going to talk about why explosive and power-based training, it's really crucial for longevity and performance, how to safely and effectively train your fast twitch muscle fibers, even if you're over 40, 50, 60 or beyond. And then real life strategies to integrate this into your climbing, biking, or workout routine. So let's start with the science. Our muscles are made up of two main types of fibers. We've got type 1 fibers, and these are also known as slow twitch fibers. These are endurance focused. They're great for long efforts, steady cardio, walking, distance biking, activities that really don't require sudden bursts of power. And then we've got the type 2 fibers, and these are the fast twitch fibers. There are a couple subtypes here, but the big takeaway is this. These are responsible for explosive strength, power, and speed. So think sprinting, jumping, powering through a cruxy move while you're climbing, dynamic bouldering, or powering up a hill on your bike. So here's the problem. As we age, we naturally start to lose more of our type 2 fast twitch fibers unless we're actively working to maintain them. So by our 50s and definitely into our 60s and beyond, we begin to experience something called sarcopenia, and that's the age-related loss of muscle mass. And unfortunately, we tend to lose fast twitch fibers at a faster rate than slow twitch. And this is going to impact reaction time, balance, agility, power output, overall athletic performance. But also, if you think about it, because it's impacting our reaction time, our balance, our agility, this also then, as we age, is what happens when we trip and fall. We have a hard time stepping off that curb now or catching our balance. So really, even if you're not into climbing, biking, running, even if you're not in a performance-based sport as you age, these fast twitch muscle fibers are still so important to maintain. Performance in sports, obviously, it's going to be really important to have these fast twitch muscle fibers. If you rock climb, you know that explosive moves are often what can get you through the hard point of the route or the boulder problem. You really need that short burst of power to dead point or to dyno to something. on the bike, powering up a hill, or accelerating out of a turn. That's all that fast twitch fiber. You want to, if we're wanting to maintain performance, and by the way, even improve, yes, we can improve well into our 50s, 60s, 70s. You got to train the systems that support that kind of power. All right, this is what I was mentioning before. It's also about injury prevention and fall risk. Power training helps our body react quickly. That quick foot catch, right? That reactive arm when you stumble. This comes from fast twitch muscle and nervous system responsiveness. And this is really critical for avoiding injuries as we age. Also, by the way, metabolic health. So fast twitch fibers are more glycolytic, right? They use glucose as fuel. So training them improves insulin sensitivity, blood sugar regulation, helps preserve lean mass, which, as you know, becomes harder to hold on to after aging. And by the way, particularly women after menopause. Hormonal support, power training stimulates growth. This is actually a big one. It stimulates growth hormone and testosterone production, both of which naturally decline with age. So these hormones, they're going to support muscle growth and muscle maintenance. They also support mood, motivation, and libido. Explosive training, power training, however you want to name it, fast twitch, muscle fiber training, there's really this deeper hormonal impact going on, that is really optimal as we age. All right, so now that we know the why, let's talk about the how. How are we going to do it? Hey everyone, just a real quick interruption. I'm really excited to tell you about PhysiVantage, a company I have used for years and years and who I have recently partnered with in an ambassadorship for the podcast. This is one of the highest quality supplement companies out there. And the best part is I know the owner and his commitment to quality in his products. I actually interviewed the owner, Eric Hurst, on the podcast a while back, and you can hear him talk firsthand about his commitment to quality in episode, I think it was 171, if you're interested. Also, in that one, there was a ton you can learn about aging optimally and performing at your best. I think when people make the decision to add some supplements into their daily habits, they don't think often how important it is to know and vet the companies you are buying from. There is no regulation on supplements. And so when you buy something, you really have no idea what you are getting. You really want to vet the companies heavily so that you know what you are spending your money on and exactly that you're getting exactly what you believe you are buying. So with PhysiVantage, you really don't have to think about it. What you buy is the highest quality of what you can get. I use the PhysiVantage PowerPlex plant-based protein complex. And no, I am not plant-based, but I'm not doing well with dairy right now, and whey protein causes some issues for me. This is something I'm working on. But in the meantime, in order for me to get in my optimal daily protein amount for maintaining lean body mass, keeping my appetite in check, and for athletic performance, I have to supplement with a protein powder, and this is my favorite. I alternate between vanilla and chocolate, and this plant-based protein complex is different than others out there in that it includes all the essential amino acids. So it's like a whey protein, it has all the essential amino acids. Most plant-based protein powders don't. It also has creatine and beta alanine in it. These are huge bonuses. Plus, PhysiVantage plant protein only has a few carbs in it, where most plant protein powders have lots and lots. If you do well with whey protein, then use their whey protein blend. It's also really great. PhysiVantage has lots of great products that you can check out, but another one that I find so helpful for my goals and lifestyle is Redux HP. And this is an all-natural pain relief, which helps to improve recovery from rigorous exercise, supports a healthy inflammation response, combats muscle breakdown, and improves performance. But the best is it's an all-natural way to relieve aches, pains, and muscle soreness. This has saved me from popping ibuprofen for the couple of migraines I was getting twice a month, as well as when I had a big climbing or biking day and would wake up sore. So if you don't know how bad things can get from popping Ibu, do a little research. Avoid Ibu, in my opinion, really important for our health long term. So anyway, using this product instead can be a really great way to lessen pain naturally and inflammation. You can get a discount on any PhysiVantage product by going to PhysiVantage.com. PhysiVantage is spelled PHYSIVANTAGE. So like physical advantage, Advantage, and use my code Heather Heinen. Capital HEATHER, capital HEYNEN, all one word, no spaces, Heather Heinen, and you will save some money on any product you choose. I also have a link in the episode description below that you can use. Check it out and see all that they have to offer. You do not need to be sprinting at max speed on a track or throwing heavy weights around at a CrossFit gym to train explosively. There are really so many ways to do this safely, intentionally, and progressively, especially if you're over 40, 50, 60, 70. So here are some effective methods. So you can start with some plyometrics. This is called jump training. You can start with basics like squat jumps, box step ups with a drive, or even jumping rope. More advanced might be box jumps, bounding, lateral hops, skater jumps. Here's what's really important. This is going to be about quality over quantity. So focus on low reps at first, 3 to 6 reps per set, powerful effort, super long rest in between. You are training your nervous system here, not just the muscles themselves. So if you're not sure or don't feel comfortable or safe doing these things, this is where I recommend go get yourself a membership for 1 month, hire one of their trainers there, and have them teach you some of these moves. It gets you comfortable with it in your form so that you're not hurting yourself when you're trying these things. Because again, this is about quality over quantity. Okay. So very low reps and then really powerful effort, super long rest between sets. Another idea would be Olympic lifts or power moves, and you can modify these. So movements like kettlebell swings, medicine ball slams, dumbbell cleans and snatches. They're explosive without being high impact and really great for joint friendly power development. But again, things like a dumbbell clean or a dumbbell snatch, you need to know how to do those appropriately with forms. So might be really worth hiring a trainer to teach you those moves. And then sprinting. It is definitely not just for runners. Short sprints on a bike, a rower, things like that. So think 20 to 20 second bursts of sprinting followed by full recovery of like 1 to 2 minutes. I do my sprint training always on Mondays. I do it on a trainer bike. And usually what I'm doing is about 20 seconds max effort on the bike. But I want you to think about this. It takes me about 10 to 15 seconds to be at a full sprint. So I'm going 10 to 15 seconds to get up to that full sprint. Then I'm going around 20 seconds at that full sprint. And then I do a full recovery on the bike, about 1 to 2 minutes, lower pace. I get my heart rate back to where I know I'm back to baseline and I repeat. I typically, again, this is just me. You do not need to do it this way, but I typically do that usually about 5 to 6 times. But again, with full recovery in between, and again, just once a week. Then there are things like speed and agility drills. So ladder drills, cone drills, fast feet drills, things like that. They not only build fast twitch fiber, but they improve coordination, balance, and also just confidence in movement, which is so important. If you're a climber, drills on the campus board or on board climbing, or maybe finding a boulder problem at your gym that requires some real power and fast twitch, like you're going explosively, creating drills out of that movement can be really great if you're looking for power and explosiveness within climbing. So one of the drills I started doing just like 3 months ago, because I started to really get into this, was on the campus board at my gym with my feet on. So I'm not actually going to campus. Campusing is when you're just moving no feet on and you're just like, throwing up with 1 or 2 hands. That's campusing. But I'm on the campus board with feet on and I'm going from the lowest rung with one arm to the highest rung possible and catching it. And I'm doing that 1 time, 2 time, and then I switch arms. I do it with the other arm, then the other arm, and then I'm resting for a full minute. And then I'm doing that protocol again resting for a full minute, and I do that 5 times. And for me personally, that has really helped me gain coordination with my explosiveness and like throwing for something far away and getting comfortable with that explosive movement again. Heavy strength training at speed. There's lots of programs out there for just how to do this, how to lift heavy, but training quickly with those heavy loads. So lifting heavy with intention and speed, especially in the concentric phase, it really mimics that fast twitch activation. So, thinking things like fast bar speed on a heavy deadlift or a squat, right? Where we're really driving. So if we're going to do a squat with the barbell, we squat down, that's that eccentric move. And then we're going to power out of that squat. We're going to explode out of that squat as quickly as we can. Again, I'm just going to recommend you have not spent a lot of time in the weight room. You have not you do not understand correct form with stuff like this. Again, I would recommend hiring a trainer to make sure you get the correct form. You don't want to be deadlifting and squatting at speed when you've never done deadlifts or squats before with a barbell. So again, but if you have, those are things you can do that also are going to really train that fast twitch activation. The climbing specific explosive work, I just talked about my own. Sorry, I'm following an outline here and then I get ahead of myself and start talking about things. But climbing specific explosive work, I talked about the campus board work, if that's appropriate for you, and what I personally do. Other ways to really train this for climbing a specific movement would be things like limit bouldering with a lot longer rest times than you probably think you need to be taking. So really limit bouldering, but then really making sure you rest long, long periods of time until you're ready to go again. A dynamic movement practice, intentional dynos or explosive movement drills, right? And then core and hip activation drills to really support explosive movement from the lower body. Okay, so here are some programming tips for aging athletes in particular. If you haven't been doing this, then I would suggest starting at 2 times per week with explosive work. You want to do it early in the workout when you're freshest and most focused, because remember, this is also nervous system work. So if we're trying to do this when we're fatigued or tired, it's a possibility we could get hurt. And also, we're not actually this is why you're doing so much rest time in between, because you actually do want to be fresh, right? So do it early on in your workout when you're freshest and most focused. And then keep the reps low and the rest high. I can't stress that enough. And I'm stressing it because I suck at this. Okay. This training has been so difficult for me because to have to do low reps and to rest forever is so against my nature, right? I'm just sitting there like I should be moving. I should be, using this time well. I don't have a lot of time. Like I need to be, moving well. And it's just like, nope, 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 nope. You really got to train your brain to be okay with those low reps and high rest. You want to give max effort on each one. And then obviously mix this stuff up with strength and endurance training for a well-rounded week if that's your goal. And then obviously always prioritize warm up, joint prep, mobility beforehand. Power training really demands more from our system. So it's important to be very properly warmed up. And remember, explosive does not have to mean dangerous. It means intentional, focused, and challenging for your current level, wherever you're at. Okay, so I talked to you about what I'm personally doing. I do that sprinting on the bike once a week. Oh, the other stuff I do on Mondays, um, I have a hex bar. I have a sweet little home gym in my basement. It's teeny tiny, but it's so perfect. I love it. It has everything I need. And I did invest in a hex bar. For me, it was well worth the investment. I love it. So I do some jump training with the hex bar. So I'm holding the hex bar and I do some explosive jump ups with it in hand. I have not moved on yet to adding weight. I'm actually just using the bar with that. And I jump with it until I really know my body well. So I know when I'm powering down. So the second I do a jump and I'm powered down, that's where I rest a very long time before I do it again. For me, that usually means I'm doing 3 to 6 jumps with that hex bar, and then I'm resting a full 2 to 3 minutes, and I'm doing it again, and I do 5 sets of that. And then I talked about what I do for climbing for explosive movement, what I'm doing right now on the campus board with the feet arm, doing one arm, fast movement, going from a low rung to the highest rung I can grab with one arm. I don't actually campus at all, but I'm practicing very fast movement to catch a higher hold. And again, this has helped me. So I've only been doing that since maybe February. And by the way, that was shout out to Steve Bechtel, because that was something I had listened to him talk about in training for climbing. I don't even remember what podcast he was on, but he's got so many great training advice, I believe, for older athletes, for aging athletes. And that was one of his protocols to do. So I want to give him credit there. But that one little practice, so I do it once or twice a week if I'm in the gym. Sometimes I'm not in the gym at all. But anyway, when I am in the gym, I'll do it. And I can't tell you how much that has improved my climbing. If some of you are on my social media, I recently took a trip to Joe's Valley to do some bouldering, and I literally had the best climbing bouldering trip of my life in regards to the grades I was able to send and the consistency I was able to send. And by the way, I am not sending super hard grades. I'm saying hard grades for me. Hard grades for me. Hard grades for me. For me personally, it was my best bouldering climbing trip performance I've ever had. My consistency, my confidence, and I really, really noticed that I was so much more willing and I'm short, so I need to be willing to throw to holds because a lot of times I literally just cannot reach them. So for me, learning and gaining confidence and being more powerful in my explosiveness in my climbing performance is actually really important. And I really noticed I was just willing to do that on boulders. And I have no doubt this was due to my training on purpose of explosive moves on the campus board. And that was I'd only been doing that for 2 months before the trip, and not even every week because I was in the gym every week. So anyway, and then just some final thoughts here. If your goal is to age strong and to stay athletic, and even if it's not to stay athletic, to stay functional, to keep doing the things you love. So maybe that's climbing, maybe that's biking, maybe that's hiking, maybe that's training, but also maybe that's being able to play on the ground with your grandkids. Maybe that's not taking a fall when you're, 70, 80 years old, breaking a hip, and just everything's downhill from there, right? Then training these fast twitch muscle fibers, it kind of gets to be non-negotiable as we age. And I just really, really believe that. Again, it's not about being extreme. It's about being really strategic in this. So preserving explosive strength, it's not just about performance. It's about independence. It's about vitality. It's about confidence. And it's about joy in any movement we're wanting to do as the years go on. You're not too old to train with power. In fact, it's one of the smartest things you can do because you're aging. All right. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If this episode inspired you to rethink your training, I'd love for you to share it with a friend or even leave a quick review so that others can find the show. Anytime you follow the show or leave a review of the show or give it a 5-star rating, that it really helps with the algorithm so other people can find the show. And it really, for me, it's such a great way that you can show support for the show. I really, really appreciate it. And then I would just say, really consider some of this. We want to train smart, we want to keep showing up, and we want to keep aging strong. All right, that's it for this week. We will talk soon.
The information in this podcast is intended to provide a broad understanding and knowledge of healthcare topics. This information is for educational purposes only and should not be considered complete and should not be used in place of advice from your physician or healthcare provider. We recommend you consult your physician or healthcare professional before beginning or altering your personal exercise, diet, or supplementation program.
Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and there you will find links to my online courses, how I work with clients one-on-one, as well as online with my coaching and counseling services that I offer.